So we've talked the last couple of YouTube videos about planning. We've talked about yearly planning and creating strategies and weekly planning. But the one thing we haven't really dove into is the daily planning. This is a lot of planning when it's the actual stuff happening. Well, doing the planning piece really kind of leads to the stuff that will actually happen, which is really the meat and the fun part of what we do. But we definitely need the story and the frameworks to get there. I was actually listening to an expert on ADHD and neurodiversity in the workplace this morning. And something that she said really kind of stuck with me that isn't just true for those who are neurodivergent, but really for everyone. It's that for our brains to work most effectively, we need to make sure that we tune out all the extra noise. There's tons of things that could be going on, a lot of priorities in different parts of life. So really sitting down and looking at the priorities for the week, which come from the strategies and goals, is really important before the day starts in order to really focus on the things that matter and will bring you the next step forward. And so this expert was talking a lot about clarifying priorities and expectations for your team through verbal and written means in order to be able to do that. And what I'm going to talk about today is really taking the concepts of what is important and what is to be done quickly, and also what may not be as important to go on later. So if we haven't met yet, I'm Anna of Anna Simple Solutions. And I work with small businesses to simplify their processes and automate their systems using really cool tools like ClickUp and Airtable and Zapier and other no-code tools like that. Not cool, no-code tools like that. So today, again, we're going to talk a little bit about the organization that we've done earlier in YouTube videos. Last time we talked about really kind of organizing your week according to priorities and using Google Calendar to do that. Well, now we're going to look at what those priorities are in the week and what those top priorities are that are coming up for the next day. And I want to bring into your mind the Eisenhower matrix, which you probably have heard about before. If you haven't, it's basically like 4 quadrants. The upper left quadrant is all of your urgent and important tasks. So, a client needs to be onboarded, or there is an issue going on with a credit card system or something like that. Those are things that need to be taken care of immediately and are important to the organization. The upper right quadrant is not urgent but important matters. These are ongoing projects. These are research assignments. These are content writing in my case. And then the lower left-hand quadrant is urgent, not important. And then the lower right-hand quadrant is not urgent and not important. So the lower left hand are things that can be delegated usually, making sure that the invoices are paid and things like that. Maybe you don't have to do. You can delegate that to someone else. And we won't even really talk about the other quadrant because you don't need to do those anyway because they're not urgent and not important. So let's just forget about them. So what I recommend doing is looking at those priorities for the week. I really love the list tool. So I really like the ability to write things down, even though they are on the computer. Sometimes in order to get them solid in my mind, I write them down because there's things that are on the top of my mind that I want to make sure are recorded for later. So I just keep a running list, very much in the way of the getting things done method, in one place where I put basically everything in my brain. But I'll take all of the stuff, organize it in my organizational tool, which I use ClickUp for that, and then look at the week and the things that are coming up that I need to actually make sure I have prepared for it. So we have the list, like we talked about, and then we're going to go and basically classify each of those tasks into the Eisenhower matrix. Is this urgent and important? So maybe preparation for a meeting that's coming up that is a milestone in a project. That would be urgent and important. I would put that as in that matrix. And then we have a project-based time, which would be important, not urgent, and then we put those in there. So basically look at your day. What are you scheduled for the day? What is the preparation time that you need for the meetings? And start filling it up, almost like little Lego blocks according to that. And you're like, well, Anna, how am I going to do this? Do I do this on the Google Calendar like you talked about last week? Well, you can do that, but I actually recommend using a task management tool to do this. Make it a bit easier when it comes to actually using tasks that are already in the system. And like I said, I handwrite some things, but I always transfer into the system, which is a really good way to kind of solidify things in my head to make sure that I'm focusing on the right priorities. That little extra time that people may think is not very productive, doing like double duty like that, is actually really good for my brain and clients who think like I do in order to get that done. So just something to think about. You don't have to do it that way, but it's what I choose. So let's jump into ClickUp here, and I'll kind of show you how to basically create my day every day. There's the Eisenhower matrix. And let's go over to calendar. So here we are in ClickUp, and there are tons of videos out there about the calendar in ClickUp. And what I actually have done was actually hooked in my Google Calendar into ClickUp, so you can actually see all of the events and things that are going on in there. But I did something slightly different. When we talked about planning out the week, I created an ideal week calendar in Google. And let me show that to you just a second. So here is my ideal calendar in Google. I've blocked off the time. You can see I work a lot with a company called Scale Time, and that is what some of these are booked out for. And I revisit this every couple months or so just to make sure that it's really kind of fitting the needs and what I have to do as far as my extracurricular activities in my life. So this is what is here, and you actually can pull that into ClickUp and have it displayed on the screen like this. And so at the beginning of every day, I'm going to go in here and look at the calendar. I might even filter this to the day. Oh, excuse me, not that filter. Into 4 days or the day. So let's go to the day. This is actually, it goes directly to Friday, February 10th, which is next Friday. And I'm going to go back up here to Monday. Let's say I'm planning for Monday. Okay, so morning routine, family responsibilities, daily work prep. So there's a task that I have that I need to do as daily work prep, or I need to read or something like that. I could actually drag this in here and put it on top of where the daily work prep is. Now this task, if I click into it, has a click in here. You'll see that even though the time is estimated at 30 minutes, the start date is, or the start time is at 9 a.m. and the end time is at 10 a.m. And that's because that is where we put it in. But if I change this end time to 9:30, let's see if I can do that in a quick fashion here. 30 a.m. and hit return. Then it'll be a half an hour. So you do have ability to kind of change around and do that then. Let's say this is a task with no due date right now, and we can actually drag that in wherever this is in MinBiz. It's an admin task, it needs to go there. You can change the time length on it by just clicking and dragging and fitting things in where they fit. But of course, don't do too much, because if you plan too much during the day, it's just not going to get done. And we're not trying to get overdue tasks. We're trying to actually be much more productive with our time. So you can see how that happens. Now, sometimes you'll have some administrative tasks that don't really have a due date, but need to happen a certain, like once a week or something like that. Let me pause for a second and get that up here, and I can show you how that works. So I have created a task that I want to repeat every Monday. So if you look here up, it's actually, did I put it in the test folder? I believe so, under my list. Repeating task every Monday. You can see here that it's repeating every Monday. I'm going to go ahead and assign it to myself there. But then I'm going to go back to, all right, so I'm going to go back to the calendar so you can see this repeating task every Monday is due on Monday, but it doesn't actually have a time associated with it. So it's one of those tasks that if you have time, you can do it. It's showing up here that it's due today, but perhaps it can be moved to the next day or something like that. And all you have to do is change the due date for that. Or if you end up having time, or the work that you were doing for another client is already, completed, you can actually drag it down and make sure that it happens during that time. So again, to kind of review, in order to plan for your day, pick some time either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, whatever works best for you when your brain is functioning the best, because planning is the very important part. And look at the tasks on your list, decide whether they are urgent, important, not urgent, important. And then based on the priority of them, you look at your calendar, what you've time blocked and already planned out for the week, and figure out where that fits in. You can use a tool like ClickUp in order to look at the tasks, look at the length of the tasks, and you don't have to pack it so tightly from one against the other, but this is a really good visual way to make sure that you're focusing on the right thing at the right time to move you forward. That's all I have for this week. I hope you have a great one. You're having a good February, and I will catch you next time. And as always, keep it simple.